Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About House. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Okay, so we are going to talk about this sort of recurring theme, but this article came out, Berkshire Hathaway article. It got tweeted. Tweet got a lot of responses. I read the responses. It was pretty ridiculous. So we're going to do a video on it. But what we did was we got a bunch of data first.
Wait a minute, so are they tweets or are they X's?
It's X posts. I'm sorry. They're not tweets anymore. They're X posts.
You're showing your age.
And so anyway, like 20 times the people, probably 30 times the people saw this that will watch this video to get an actual explanation.
Okay.
Okay, so it's from Darth Pal. As you can imagine, is basically a crash bro and in not just housing, but a lot of other things.
Oh, so Darth Powell is a real person?
No, Darth Pal is just, it's someone hiding. It's like Reventure. They're hiding behind this name. And then, so they can just be a crash bro and monetize a following or something.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, the actual handle is Vlad the Inflator.
I see.
Right? Okay. So here I'll read it to you. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway Home Services spelled Berkshire wrong. If you don't know how to spell it, you can go look it up online.
Doesn't it light up when you spell something wrong?
Well, it's a proper name, and it's got a capital letter, so it wouldn't do it. But if you look below, it says in the article, he took a screenshot of it. It shows how it's spelled. Anyway, let's move on. Say demographics could lead to a home price collapse. We're going to talk about this. Between 13.1 and 14.6 million boomers will abandon home ownership from 2026 to 36, raising housing industry fear. Such large inventory homes could lead to price collapse. Sometimes I wonder who's following me. And then it's a repeat. I'll just leave it up so you can read what's on the screen here. Juana, let's talk about this first of all. Let's talk about the actual demographics. Okay, we'll start with demographics. Okay. Are boomers actually the largest demographic?
No, they are not.
Okay. Are they the second largest demographic?
I think they're the third.
They are the third. They're almost the fourth. They're probably in 2 or 3 years they'll be the fourth largest.
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
So they're the third largest demographic, which means that they're not the largest group of people. They're the third largest group of people that are adults and making choices.
Right. I'm going to put this chart up. This actually shows the demographics.
Okay.
I think people, because it uses the word boom, that there's like more than them than everybody else combined.
No.
The baby boomers, as you can see here, were born basically between 46 and 64. They're 19.6% of the population. But you know that the three other ones that are as larger, Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z. So the argument here is that when these people die, that all of their that these houses will flood the market. Okay, so we're going to go through and break these down. But as you can see from this chart, they're not even the largest generation. They're just a generation. So Juan, let me ask you historically. In 1946, were the baby boomers the largest generation?
No.
What about 1947?
No.
What about 1948?
No.
Okay, let's jump all the way ahead to 1955.
No.
Okay, who owned all of the houses in 1955?
Well, it wasn't us, and it wasn't the baby boomers.
Yeah, we weren't alive. Half the baby boomers weren't alive.
It was the silent generation.
Silent generation, the greatest generation, and maybe some of the people that were still around. Like, it was their parents and grandparents.
Right.
They owned 100% of the houses. So when those generations died, Juana, what year was the housing crash? Remember, because when a generation dies, the houses flood the market. So do you remember what year the housing crash was, that home prices crashed? Was it the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s? I'm trying to remember.
Well, it was none of those, and housing didn't crash when we had 18% mortgages either.
Okay. Now, I'm going to go back to their statistic. Their statistic is 13.1 to 14.6. That's the actual number of boomers that are going to die. So let me ask you a question. Are all these 13, 14 million people, are they by themselves in a house?
Generally not.
Why not?
Well, they are living with spouses or other family members, and the people that they are living with tend to be younger than them because...
Someone is younger than the other person.
Right. So let me give you an example. they're either the same age or younger. So we have neighbors around us, right? And they are indeed baby boomers, and one spouse has passed away, and they are still in the house. And they've been in the house for an extended period of time. These people, some are in their 70s, some are well into their 80s, and they've been in the house for a long time after their spouse have passed away, and they're still alive and well. And what's interesting about that is they are living. Some are living alone, and some have younger family members that have moved in. So you're seeing this whole generational thing where the surviving spouse is staying in there, and they're either staying in there alone, or when they're not staying in there alone, somebody younger is staying in there with them, which means that the house, even after they pass away, will not come on the market.
Okay, here's this actual statistic. Statistically, surviving spouses live 5 to 11 years after their partner's death. Mm-hmm. This is an average, okay? With women typically outliving men to 9 to 11 years, 5 to 8 years for men, depending on the study, a bunch of studies on this. You know, when my dad passed away, you know, my parents weren't boomers. They were the silent generation, or maybe greatest generation. They were super old. They were a lot older than me. I had teenage siblings when I was born that were
boomers.
They were boomers. They were baby boomers. They were born during the baby boom. And mom lived for 16 more years in the house. Like, didn't sell that, just had to live somewhere. So she lived in the house, couldn't really afford to move. She just, you know, lived in the house, stayed in the house. So when a boomer dies, it's not like the house magically just all of a sudden has to be sold, right?
Right. And the thing that I want to point out is that I think people will say, well, but sometimes they'll downsize. You know what? I haven't seen a whole lot of that. Again, anecdotally, you know, my neighbors, they live in homes that are 4,000 to 5,000 square feet, and they're living alone. So they're not downsizing. These are the homes that they raise their families in. These are the homes that they're comfortable in, and they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we have a neighbor that.
We have a couple, actually.
That's the situation. They're by themselves in this massive house, and a lot of children. I'm guessing that a child will move into that house. Probably.
We'll see.
We'll see. We're going to find out. Okay. Here's a question. I'm going to just reiterate this question. Are people dying a new phenomenon, or have generations always died? And how is that resolved?
So people dying, you know, it is somewhat new.
Right.
It kind of started back. Oh, I remember Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve. Eve killed off Adam.
She did.
She just couldn't deal with it anymore.
No.
The apple, not having a rib, the whole thing.
Exactly. And then as far as generations die off all the time, and life goes on for the rest of us. When a generation is extinguished, life goes on and markets don't crash. Nothing significant happens.
Juana, I'm going to put this thing up here. I used Grok. I grokked this question. Are boomers dying a new phenomenon, or generations always died in the past? And this is the answer it came up with. Generations dying is not a new phenomenon. It's a fundamental part of the human life cycle. Every generation, from the silent generation, the greatest, and beyond, is aged and passed away as time progresses. Juana, we've sold, when not we, is like you and I, but like in a real estate community, let's just say there's been 4 million home sales a year. And we can go back as far as we want. 1972. Did some of the homes that sold that year were because somebody died and their heirs decided to sell it?
Of course.
What about in 1943?
Of course.
What about in 1827?
Of course.
Okay, so it's not like what they're doing is they're creating this baseline that, like, no, this is how many houses always sell, but then we're going to add on to that when somebody dies. But what about in the past? Like, if nobody died, actually home sales would drop substantially because you wouldn't have people dying. You'd actually have just more people coming in and no one would be leaving their house. So it's already included in the numbers. It's not like you're double counting it. If you say, oh, well, when the boomers die, it's already assumed they're going to die. I'm going to show you this chart again. Juana. Now, what's cool about this chart is it's in age order. The boomers, they're the big column that's almost all the way on the left. What about these other 4 massive groups of people? Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. Isn't it possible one of these guys might get one of the houses?
It is very possible. So
Who else would get the house, basically?
right. So sometimes what happens is when a generation passes away, family members will take the house and either move into it or they'll put it into service as an investment property. So we've seen that before, where children, grandchildren, great grandchildren move in and take over the home. And then we've also seen it to where the heirs go ahead and put the property into service and rent it out.
This is another question I asked Grok. Are older generations generally the holders of more real estate than the younger generation? So this could be any time. This could be 1730,
Well,
right? In 1730, the people that probably owned all the houses were probably born before 1700.
Right.
And then they probably had maybe kids still living with them. I don't know how that worked back then. I wasn't around. Okay, this is what it says. Yes, older generations generally hold more real estate than younger ones, primarily due to longer periods of wealth accumulation, higher home ownership rates, favorable historic market conditions, all factors, of course. With that being said,
Well, there you go. See,
that's pretty straightforward though, right?
yep, you and Grok need to do the videos together.
So here's another thing I just want to point out. They do the same thing with foreclosures.
Yes.
Every year, we've always had foreclosures.
Yes.
Juana, what's the earliest foreclosure in history that you can remember? Famous one.
Oh, well, there were, okay, so we can go back, like, biblically, it says neither a borrower nor a lender be.
Neither a borrower nor a lender be.
So, one famous foreclosure that I'm privy to, mostly because I got to visit his house, was in Amsterdam. Rembrandt had his home foreclosed. So it was interesting because not only was his home foreclosed, but all the personal property that was inside the home was also sold. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. So foreclosures have been around for a long time. Anytime that you secure a debt with physical property, then that physical property can be seized to cover a portion or all of the debt if you're not servicing that loan.
There is no question that if in a very short period of time, you had an extremely high number of homes hit the market, that would create a disequilibrium in the market between
Sure.
supply and demand. It would have a downward pressure on prices. There's also no question if a bunch of people, if you had some like pandemic that actually would took out 20 to 30% of the population, right?
Right.
You would have a lot of problems. Not just, yes, housing. Oh my gosh, you have these houses because nobody's living in them because all the people are dead and you don't have enough people to live in the houses. You would have that's the least of your problems if you lose 20, 30% of people, because you're losing 20, 30% of people, of airline pilots, doctors, important people that make sure you have water and electricity and stuff like that. And you're probably going to take out enough key people, stuff would start breaking really fast.
Right.
Right?
So I think it'd be interesting to kind of look at some of that historically, like, for example, the Black Death. Certainly that killed a lot of people, or the potato famine. That killed, there were a lot of people that died during that time, and what happened. But, during those times, real estate holdings were different than they are today. First of all, the home ownership rate was much lower because people generally lived on the land of their employer, whether it was on a farm or shop or whatever it was. So even that probably didn't cause home values to decline that substantially. If anything, those homes probably would have been marked as not habitable because somebody had died in them of the Black Plague or whatever. And so that would not have brought more homes on the market. So,
Right.
so it's and the reason I bring that up is because you brought up pandemic. So that didn't cause that. And we can look at other things more recently that maybe some of us do remember. Certainly, like, for example, during the 80s, the AIDS crisis in the Bay Area, that didn't kill off real estate prices either. And that was a time when it was kind of pandemic-like, that people were scared and didn't know what to do and that sort of thing. So even things farther back in history or more recent, pandemics did not cause home prices to go down, is my point.
Yeah, and the other thing too is you're more likely to just trash the economy in general, because there were more people in Ireland in the mid 1800s than there currently are today, which
Right.
is super counterintuitive. because potato famine, and people just had no food. So what did they do? They left. And a lot of them came here to the U.S. There's actually more people of Irish descent in the U.S. than in Ireland.
Oh, exponentially, yes.
Yeah, we have the largest population of people of Irish descent, whether it's 100% or just a small percentage. I have a small percentage of Irish that goes back like 400 or 500 years, actually. Okay, put this chart back up. We'll wrap up the video. When these boomers die, and remember, the youngest boomer is basically just turned 61. So you call it 61 to 80 or something, where they're the boomers. Those 61-year-olds are not all dying anytime soon. And I know a lot of people who are in their 60s whose their spouse is 40s and 50s. Mm-hmm. And they are not, just when they die, that's great, but then they have the spouse. So this is not like there's going to be a massive wave in 10 years. Some of these homes will be inherited by children. Most of them will probably be inherited by somebody. But this idea that over 10 years, 13 million people are going to flood the market, it happens every year. So if they don't die, that's a problem. We need people die every day. They die every day. They're going to keep dying every day. This is completely overblown. It's completely overblown.
Well, look, population die-off is something that, as Grok put it, is natural, normal, and it happens over time. It doesn't happen over a short period of time, and generations are no exception to that. So generations do take a long time to extinguish, which means that they do not significantly or even minimally really impact the real estate market. And I think the thing that people should be more concerned about is whether they would impact the economy at large, because that's a much more interesting and much more important thing to consider, because the economy at large is much more influential regarding real estate prices than a generation dying off.
It's like hitting a baseball into the stands. There's all these people waiting to catch it. And there's going to be the Gen Xers and the millennials and the Zoomers, Gen Z Zoomers, who are there waiting for the house. They need the house. There are people like waiting for the parent to die because they're living with 4 friends and they want to get into a house and mom and dad won't let them move in, right? So,
well, we don't all have basements, so sorry, we can't accommodate.
Yeah, we don't have any basements. We have very few basements in Las Vegas. Anyway, that was it. That's all I had.
All right. Well, hope you had fun with the video and enjoyed it. Remember to like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video. Leave us your real estate related comments. You don't have to agree with us. We welcome the conversation, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.